Hello and welcome to Tea in the Desert podcast. I'm your host, Fadi, and today we've got a very, very, very special guest today. Her name is Miriam Moynihan, and she is the group manager of Hairydog, which is a liquor e-commerce brand that hasn't started too long ago. And she has a wealth of experience. She's worked at Google in Ireland. She's worked at KPMG. She's worked at Ticket House, Opera House. She's just got incredible experience, and we are so lucky to have her today to tell us all about her experiences and just learn a nugget or two of wisdom from her. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's really lovely to be here.
Yeah, I think we've tried to do this, I don't know, maybe taken like a month or so.
Yeah.
It was hard to get our calendars aligned.
My normal turnaround time.
It's hard. I mean, It's super busy, and especially this time of year.
100%.
You're under the pump.
We're getting ready for, e-com madness for the next 2 months.
Yeah. I think we were talking earlier that when people are ready to go on holiday, you're ready to,
Yeah, you got to get your game face on.
Yeah.
It's showtime. Yeah. Well, look, thanks for having me. And as I said to you earlier, very happy to be having tea with you in the desert.
I've got to recognise that Irish tea.
Special Irish tea, and you brewed it very well. So we're over the first hurdle.
Thank you so much, and thanks for the tea.
No problem.
It's really nice.
Good. Yeah. Glad to hear that.
Perfect. So essentially, I would love to give everyone the opportunity to learn about your experiences and how you got to this position today.
Yeah.
Hairydog is a huge brand, and just last week I was driving past the billboards on the freeway, and I'm like, damn, these guys are our neighbors.
Wow.
Fantastic that we can actually see that, the growth of the brand and the growth of the team and the growth of just being everywhere.
Yeah.
Really cool.
It's really cool to see. It kind of feels like, we've hit the big time when you see a billboard, near the office or on Punt Road. We had one a while ago. And it's really exciting, and it's taken a lot to get here. Yeah. So, it sort of feels like we're 2 years in, because the business only started 2 years ago. We're hitting the big time in some ways, but then we're also still building from the ground up. So you know what it's like in startup land. Every day is day one. Yeah. But no, thanks so much for having me. As I said, in terms of my background, you might be able to tell I'm Irish.
Really?
Yeah, the tea, the accent. Grew up in Ireland, and I'm an accountant and tax advisor by trade. I know. They kicked me out because I was too fun. But I worked in KPMG. I did an accounting and finance degree and a master's in accounting, and then worked in KPMG for 3 years in financial services, tax and high net worth property. So very exciting compared to the Hairydog land. Not, but really good and amazing training. And I think anybody who's worked anywhere like KPMG always says the professional training you've gotten and that grassroots core training at the start of your career just sets you up for success. Be it just your basic discipline, your just ability to be an absolute workhorse. I don't know how they do it, but they really instill it in you, and it's incredible.
All around the world, the same culture is all around the world.
Absolutely, yeah.
At times can get toxic, would you agree?
I think at times I obviously can't speak for now, but at times it would have been, and a very male-dominated environment too, and requiring an awful lot to get to the very upper echelons. Yeah, full on at times for sure. If a client shouted, you jumped regardless of the day or the time. But really good training. So I left KPMG for Google, which was pretty fun. Yeah, I know. Well, sorry, KPMG. You're pretty great though. But it's Google, right? So I literally finished my training in KPMG on a Friday and started in Google on a Monday. Which was really fun, and still in Dublin. So it's Google's EU headquarters in Dublin, and we used to have a street in Dublin called Barrow Street, and we used to call it the Google Ghetto, because on two sides of the street there were 4 or 5 buildings just with Google people in them. So it was really kind of fun, you eat there, you work there, you play there, It's definitely not a cult.
I was thinking, as soon as you said ghetto, I'm like, Whoa.
I mean it in a nice way, like.
It's like a neighborhood. Like,
Yeah, exactly. So I worked, again, still in finance, as a group accountant, but more for new businesses.
Yeah.
So Google obviously does a lot more than search engines and sort of what we think Google does. So part of my role was assisting the product managers to pick the best country in Europe as to where to set up the new business, be it from a regulatory or a tax or accounting point of view. It's exciting for accountants to think of those things.
It's cool to say I worked in Google.
Yeah, it is amazing. It was really fun, and although it was only, a couple of years, it was, incredible.
Yeah.
And they always say, because they feed you breakfast, lunch and dinner, you put on the Google Stone or the Google KGs. It's genuinely true.
Yeah, that's true. Wow.
Yeah, because the food is, anything you could ever think of at your fingertips, and,
What kind of hours were you working if they feed you?
like relatively standard hours, but you work the US days, like as opposed to the Irish holidays. So you would need to come in, still on Christmas and whatever. So the hours weren't too crazy, but for the developers and the engineers who worked there, yeah, they'd be there 7 days a week. And, I'm sure 12, 13, 15-hour days. So they had an extra tier of special food rather than just us lowly. Yeah.
They had the steak and gravy.
Yeah. But it was amazing. And honestly, like, where could you work that, everybody in the world's like, oh, wow, that's really fun. So again, amazing experience and really good training. And I left Ireland just around that time. So when I finished up with Google, I left Ireland and told my mom I was coming to New Zealand for 3 months and Australia for a year. And somehow 11 years later, I'm still here.
11 years.
Sorry, Mom, that was a terrible lie.
I don't want it.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, I went to New Zealand for the Rugby World Cup and travelled around, which was really fun with my best friend.
Wow.
And then came to Australia only for a year, literally a year's visa, and here I still am. So amazing.
Back to Ireland since?
Oh yeah, so many times, but currently not for almost 3 years just because of COVID.
Yeah.
So I'm dying to go back. In January, my sister's having a baby. So
Oh, that's exciting.
so I'm so excited to be an auntie and for the first time, which is really good.
Wow,
So
awesome.
we're very excited.
That's
So
so exciting.
see, baby's gotten a shout out in the podcast already. I'm like, woo!
Everyone's getting a sister, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So moved over to Australia, lived in Sydney for 8 years, and my first role was in Ticketek,
Yeah.
still in finance.
What's the saying? You can never hide away. Oh, I can't remember the saying, but
Don't worry.
yeah.
But yeah, so that was good. So I joined Ticketek and was their financial controller for new business.
Yeah.
So you might be seeing a little theme here, non-core business in Google, new business in Ticketek, which was everything that sort of didn't relate to them actually selling tickets. So there was a bit of concert promotion, which was kind of fun and a bit rock and roll for a while. Although we weren't really promoting rock and roll people, it was like One Direction and people like that. But huge at the time.
People, everyone knows.
Yeah, exactly. So that was fun, and a couple of other businesses that they had too on the side. So really good experience, and like my first role in Australia. So culturally in business, things are a little bit different here than in Ireland, a little bit less formal, maybe a bit more colourful language in the office, which is quite fun. You would think Ireland is as well, but maybe not the KPMGs and the Googles of the world. But it was a great experience to work for, and obviously such an exciting ticketing company, and you'd always have tickets to God knows what, sport, concerts, whatever.
That is cool.
And as
all your friends will be like,
they loved me.
hey, can you get a ticket for so and so?
Exactly, it was amazing. So I'm really good as someone who just arrived to experience and go, I'm just going to go to loads of different things and have fun. So that was really good. Yeah.
Awesome. How old were you at that stage when you left Ireland to go to New Zealand?
26 roughly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty young then. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know, I'm not that young anymore. As we can all just do the math. Yeah. But yeah, 26, which was really fun.
Wow.
So myself and my best friend, who still lives in Sydney, shout out to her. So we literally came over and went traveling, and then came to Australia. So it was kind of the first time I'd ever been, away from Ireland in any great capacity other than like a little holiday.
Yeah.
So it was a nice adventure to have, and
I'm turning 27 soon, and I just can't imagine leaving my home country and going to literally the other side of the world.
I know. Well, I think the Irish are really, it's in our psyche to travel. Like, you know, there's so many, not to give you too long of a history lesson, but there's so many, you know, the Irish founded America, you know, the modern America, obviously. There's so many Irish families here because we were all convicts on ships. Like, we're just used to traveling. And I think, I always think, you know, you say, no matter where you are in the world, there's always an Irish bar. And I think that's just because we travel. You know, I've been to the most random places and stumbled across an Irish bar. And you always know that, you know, you can go into the Irish bar, have a bit of fun. Normally it's not Irish people running them, which is entertaining. But yeah.
There was an Irish,
yeah, at some point. But yeah, well, I think it's just in our psyche. We like to travel, and I think, I don't know what the stats are, but Ireland's really small. Like, it would fit into Victoria 3 or 4 times. So it's tiny. And we've only, you know, a few million people, let's say 5 million now, maybe. But there's so many millions and millions of people over the world who identify as Irish.
I know a lot of Irish people.
Yeah, we're everywhere. We're taking over. Yeah, just not at home. So all our mums are missing us. But yeah, it's really good. And like, to move to Australia, I think Aussies are so like the Irish. We love a drink. We love a chat.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Like, I think there's exactly. Do any of us like English people? Probably not. Sorry, you can edit that out.
Do you think the Irish are more like the English or more like the Aussies?
The Aussies.
Really?
We would not align ourselves to English people.
Wow.
But that's another history lesson for you.
Let's leave that there.
Yeah, let's leave that there. But yeah, I think Irish really, we're very comfortable here.
Yeah.
And Aussies are so welcoming, and like, they like to have a bit of a laugh. And yeah, I just think culturally it just really, really works. So
that's incredible.
So yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that the Irish are like that.
Yeah.
It would make sense considering how many Irish people I've met around here. And
exactly.
like, you know, it's just kind of like, why are there so many Irish people in the same spot? Do they sort of like to congregate together, or it makes sense?
Yeah, I think so. I know. Like, in Sydney, all the Irish, used to live in Bondi, and here it's St Kilda.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
They need some sort of coastal town.
Yeah, anything that's very different to Ireland, which is not sunny and by the beach. You just congregate there. Yeah. But
that's so funny.
Yeah, so it's good, and maybe that's the reason why we all stay here and we, you know, emigrate. And
it's not a bad spot.
It's not bad. Nice weather most of the time.
Most of the time, not today.
No, I know. But so from Ticketek, I went to the Opera House in Sydney, which, as a non-Australian, or maybe as an Australian, like, you just can't get more, you know, oh my God, than that. No offense, Google, cool. But I was equally excited by the Opera House.
Yeah.
And
probably really cool walking into work every day.
Every day.
This is like a world
heritage. Yeah, it is World Heritage listed. Yeah.
You know, so you're walking into one of the most iconic places in the world.
It was
every day.
You never got bored of it, because nothing would prepare you just, you know, round circular quay at the end, and then you just see it, because it's so flat across the forecourt and it's just there. You just, you know, no matter what was going on, you're still like, wow.
It's really designed to catch. Like, to be in a spot where everyone can see.
Yeah,
it's like nothing is, you know, obtrusive.
Yeah. Fully unencumbered view.
Yeah.
So that was, you know, incredible. And I was 5 years at the Opera House, which is my longest stint ever working anywhere. But many jobs. I started in finance. Now I won't have to say that anymore. So I was in finance, but looking after, again, everything that wasn't putting a show on the stage. So their commercial activities, new business, food and beverage, retail, product licensing, you know, the retail website, that kind of stuff. So started in finance, and then I was lucky enough to get sponsored. So as a non-Australian, you go through this phase, you know, all Irish and English, where you get sponsored, and then you go for your residency and your visas and whatever. So they were amazing. So open to sponsoring and offering permanent residency. So incredible. Like, they were really good. So started in finance, and then I probably had been feeling for a little while like, hey, I've got a bit of interest outside of finance too.
Yeah.
I love my numbers. Don't get me wrong. Love a calculator. Well, yeah. And I kind of thought something is, you know, enticing me outside of that, and I've got a lot to give. Yeah. And I always think if your backbone's finance, you can take it anywhere. You can pick it up, set it down, do whatever you need to do. Yeah. So great training, you know. While I'm not being an accountant anymore, still, like, you never lose it.
Yeah.
So
always looking at the books.
Absolute, constantly, every morning actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can never run away.
Obsessed. So left the finance role into a strategic development role, and then so I was heading up the strategic development department in what's called visitor experiences, which is anything to do again with tourism, food and beverage, retail.
Yeah.
And then basically as I sort of found my feet and worked up, I was running food and beverage tenders. So when you think of, the opera bar or the fine dining restaurant Benelong, so very much in that commercial space. And really good experience too, because it's New South Wales government, technically. So you kind of have that high rigor of the government aspect of things. And it's tourism and, it gets 8 million visitors a year. Wow. Well, it used to anyway. Yeah, so insanely large amounts of people want to go there. And then you have that other piece, which is, very food and beverage and hospitality focused. So, honestly, I could probably talk for half an hour about the Opera House, but loved it. Just everything about it, the management team, the CEO, everyone. I've met some lifelong friends there, just amazing. And again, as I mentioned to you before, kind of similar to Ticketek where, trying new things and whatever. But in the Opera House, like I had never personally been interested in going to the symphony or the opera or, modern dance or anything like that. Yeah. Makes me sound really uncultured. But you know what I mean? Yeah. And whereas, because of the tickets, you tried more things and you expand your horizons. It's amazing. Like sometimes to the point of my husband gets into the car and he's like, why are you listening to classical music? I'm like, because I like it now. I worked there and I learned something about it and it's amazing. Yeah. So he thinks it's really weird. He thinks it's really nannish. But it's actually amazing and the talent is phenomenal.
I listen to Hans Zimmer as well when I'm working as well. Yeah. And sometimes I hate it when like my headphones are not connected to my laptop. So everyone can hear that I'm listening to Hans Zimmer. And I'm like really vibing in it. Yeah, it's...
Don't be embarrassed. Embrace it. Just embrace it.
People are like, what the hell are you listening to?
Yeah.
Like, nothing.
I know. I think in the office here, I don't impose my classical music on them. However, there's certain playlists that we listen to and like it just depends on the vibe or the mood or whatever. Like normally it's like a lot of throwback rap / R&B.
Yeah. And how can you work to that? It's hard.
Because it's just a vibe.
It's a good vibe, I'm sure.
Yeah, I guess if you're not doing too much deep thinking. I understand Hans Zimmer, deep thinking, 100%.
I'm in the zone, no one talked to me.
Yeah, whereas if, you're just smashing out the emails, checking the books, doing what you need to do,
sure work,
you got to have a bit of Jay-Z on.
I love having you guys as neighbours because we can hear what's going on.
Oh, God, I think
not too loudly.
You'll be a bit loud.
Yeah, it's good. You can, you can feel the rhythms coming from the room.
Yeah. We're certainly a loud bunch. But, hey, the alcohol industry, right?
Yeah, exactly. You have to be like that.
You do.
Yeah.
So, awesome. We, as I said, finished up in the Opera House and moved to Melbourne.
Yeah.
So that was...
So you were at the Opera House for 5 years?
5 years.
Awesome. Was that like a contract or did you find a better spot or like a better job in Melbourne?
Like? So my husband wanted to move to Melbourne for work and had an opportunity.
Wow.
He works in the alcohol industry and always has since I've known him anyway.
Can't get away from it.
I know. We should see our house and our alcohol collection.
Yeah.
So he wanted to move to Melbourne. I probably had reached like the natural end in some ways at the Opera House.
Okay, yeah.
Obviously, career progression.
Yeah.
I got to the stage where I was acting director for a while of visitor experience.
Wow.
So reporting to the CEO, which is an incredible opportunity. But that was a maternity leave cover. Mm-hmm. So you kind of get to that point where I had 3 jobs in 5 years there, which was amazing to keep it fresh. But for me, I was like, you know what, maybe this is just kind of that perfect time. But the emotional connection was very strong. I really struggled with that. Like I think I full ugly cried on my last day. Like it was bad.
Yeah.
But, again, such an experience.
It's tough to make good decisions like that.
It is, yeah. So we moved to Melbourne end of, I want to say mid-2018. Yeah. I could be a bit wrong, COVID fucked my brain, roughly.
COVID's like a big blur.
I know.
What happened before and after.
Yeah, it's pre and post. But I feel like I only moved to Melbourne just before COVID, but that might be a slight exaggeration. Like it was maybe a year and a bit.
Yeah.
And so one of the directors of the Opera House had joined Spotless Group.
Oh, okay.
And had a chat to me, so if I was interested in a role, which I was. So I was the general manager of hospitality development.
Yeah.
you can see the little trend forming, you know, food and beverage tenders, hospitality, moving more into
finance.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see the gradient, right? But you can't see finance, liquor.
I know. So I joined Spotless Group in the general manager role in Melbourne, and I guess probably I always tease myself I still have to have my GPS on in the car in Melbourne because I was just doing so much travel with Spotless that I just didn't really get to know Melbourne very well for a good while. And then COVID hit. So I was traveling, 3-4 nights a week, but an incredible opportunity. Like, I think to find myself in a mine site in WA, surrounded by, red dust and a mining village, I was like, I never thought I'd be here in my life. Like, no part of my background ever made me think I would be in this.
Here.
And it's not like much mining goes on in Ireland. Like zero, probably. So that was like a real, you're not in Kansas anymore moment, like that kind of vibe. And as I sort of mentioned to you before, that first time I arrived at the mining village and there was a big poster up on the wall with all of these things that this mining village can kill you. So like spiders, snakes, scorpions, that maybe they weren't on the list. And I was like, I sent a picture to my mom. So I was like, don't know what to do.
That was the wrong time to send it.
Yeah, I know. She's because that's what Irish people would think is every day in Australia. Like,
exactly. Like dodging kangaroos. And
exactly. So,
Mom, it's happening.
I was like, it's really happening now. So that was really interesting. And like, obviously just a really interesting experience there. And one of our clients was BHP. So that's why I was out on the mining side. And they really wanted to try and improve or enhance the visitor experience. That's the opposite. The resident experience. So for the FIFO workers when they're at the mining village, obviously they're away from their families, they're, away from their home comforts, and the kind of things that Spotless were providing to them as a service that I was, thankfully really able to influence, where, someone's mood could be lifted by a beautiful meal. We all think that someone's mood could be lifted by, hey, these gym facilities are great, or my bed is extra comfy, or my bed is clean, or all those kind of things that we take for granted in the metro environment with our families on our day-to-day basis was just it's kind of taken away. And, I didn't live the experience obviously for long, but I did do fly in, fly out, and I was there for extended periods, and I could see how it would get in on you a bit, and that's not even, working at a mining, like actually at the mine for 12 hours a day too. So it's a very heightened experience there. And
did you enjoy it?
I did actually. I really did. Like, look, there are obviously moral grounds aside. Not majorly fan of mining myself. And I am a bit of a weird, eco warrior at home. My husband lives under a strict regime of recycling and certain bins. But, what an experience to be able to do that. So that was just one of our clients there, but really had an impact on me in terms of my development and experience. And we had a huge diversity though. So the MCG was one of our other clients, which was really fun.
Wow. The mining to MCG, which
I know.
right up your alley with like Sydney, the Opera House.
Exactly, right? Wow. Like it's probably the Opera House of Melbourne, right? Like as people, it is, right? It's so iconic. And, again, being an Irish person, so many Irish footballers would come over here and be in the AFL. So even growing up, you would hear so much, like Jim Steins. He's, was a very proud Irishman. And yet is, so ingrained in the Australian football, psyche. So there's just all these like little connections the whole time, which I really like. That was amazing.
A piece of home wherever you
somewhere. Are. Which is really fun.
That's very interesting.
It was, and it was really, cool to get to, help them try and achieve, the MCG trying to achieve what the hospitality experience they want to deliver to customers, which is obviously challenging because you've got everything from, GA, public, all the way to fine dining and, whatever else. So that was amazing. And Virgin Australia was another client of ours, which was great.
So free Opera House tickets, free airline tickets.
Oh no, we definitely have free airline tickets.
Good.
They were the client.
Okay, perfect.
But did travel an awful lot, so get to enjoy the benefits of being, a platinum, whatever now.
Wow,
which is fun.
That's awesome.
I know, even after COVID, I can't believe I kept it. But that was amazing, and that was more of, again, if you think of that thread of the experience in the mining village and what that had. What was the experience in the lounges that Virgin were trying to deliver?
Yeah.
The whole ethos of the brand. How does that translate to the lounge experience and then on board?
Yeah.
And they wanted to really revamp what they were doing. And so it was my role with my team to go in and show them like all of the possibilities that you could do. Much more food and beverage related, obviously, and a little bit experiential and a little bit even how furniture and textures and lighting and all of that can actually, enhance someone's mood.
That's very cool. So you went
really
from
fun.
like numbers and then like starting to really be a key person in the elevation of like, customer experiences.
Yeah,
Not even customers, just like, residents of a particular mining site or whatever.
exactly.
That's really, really interesting.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I learned so much from the teams that I worked with. So although I wasn't the subject matter expert, which you don't, need to be as a general manager, but you got to surround yourself with the best people.
Yeah.
And so I had like the absolute experts in Spotless in terms of customer experience. Someone that I actually poached from the Opera House. An absolute expert in the food and beverage field, like just such a seasoned professional. And just have those people around you and they really see the minutiae. You can see the overall detail and that's your job. And then the people who are really going to like give you that key advice.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of the role of a general manager, even now in Hairydog.
Yeah.
It's the same. I've got my own expertise, but you got to bring in the right people to really nail those things for you, because then you can focus on the overall game and then they can really niche focus on what they have to do. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So you were at Spotless Group, and then did COVID come around at that point?
Yeah, so COVID came around after about 18 months in Spotless, so pretty early on. And unfortunately, there was a lot of redundancies. As you can imagine, Spotless's clients were, stadiums, airlines, mining clients were obviously okay, but, a hell of a lot of their business was absolutely, just decimated overnight. And so there were obviously a lot of redundancies, as they were in hospitality across the field. And I was one of those. So I was living my best life in COVID with no job, which I didn't, totally hate for a few months.
So take a bit of a
It kind of
break.
was nice. I don't think I'd ever done that before, like taking an not imposed, but, I don't know what the word is, but I definitely enjoyed the break, I have to say. And even just taking time to sit back and relax. Did a little bit of
I don't know if you would have done that throughout like your career progression.
No.
Wow.
I know. Not one for relaxing too much or, sitting there. And there's been a lot of forward motion the whole time in your career, obviously because you want to and you want to get ahead. And I'm very career focused and driven. Yeah. But to get that experience was actually nice. And like I did so much cooking and walking and reading and Netflixing. And I actually really liked it in some ways,
amazing.
which is good. So I was off in COVID living my best life. And then
How long were you off for?
3 months.
3 months.
Yeah. I did a tiny bit of consulting on the side though, totally sit still. Which was actually really fun in terms of a good experience. So I worked with an amazing client who'd been beautiful bakery like and cakes. Yeah. They had the contract with David Jones for about 20 years. So like a wonderful client, huge client and huge contract. Yeah. So obviously through COVID and the business was set up in COVID, everything's on Zoom. We all, just figured out how to do board meetings and whatever else on Zoom. And we would very rarely meet up in person. One of them has offices in South Yarra. And for some bizarre reason, every time we would all meet in their offices in South Yarra, there would be a snap lockdown. I'm kidding you not. We would be in the meeting, someone would be on their phone. It literally happened 2 or 3 times. So we were all there earlier this week and I was like,
please
don't let there be a snap lockdown. Like, so
who's watching?
Yeah, we've broken the curse. It's fine. But I'm genuinely serious.
Wow.
Like, it was
what is that time? There was 6 lockdowns and 3 of those
we caused. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a perfect storm.
Yeah, it was really funny. Like it just happened like that. So that's a running joke in the business. And honestly, in my line of work now, lockdowns weren't exactly too bad for the e-com alcohol business. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
So personally, I'd be saying, oh no, another lockdown. And then professionally, I was like,
yes. Yeah. Sales.
Yeah. So it was.
you left, not left, but you were off for 3 months.
Yeah.
When did Hairydog come about at that time?
Yeah.
Or like, when did the opportunity present itself to you?
Yeah. So it was interesting. So one of the girls in my team who I unfortunately had to let go during COVID as well. I had a phone call one Friday afternoon asking for a reference for her, which of course I gave.
Yeah.
And the recruiter was like, well, what are you up to? Like, are you interested in a job? And we were out of a lockdown, I think at some point, I can't remember when it was. I was in the pub on a Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock. I was like, nah, I'm cool. Go on, job. Living my best life.
Yeah.
I was pretty content, didn't know what I wanted to do. And then, I heard more and more about the opportunity and got really interested. And I think the startup nature of it was, super attractive, like, to get in at the ground and really like...
Fresh canvas.
Yeah.
No rules. It's not no rules, but,
No rules.
Yeah.
And also, I think coming from businesses like the Opera House and Spotless, while I loved them, sometimes to actually affect real business change was like turning an oil tanker. It was incredibly hard. And I'm impatient. I'm like, just do it. I'm a doer. And I know my own mind. If I make a decision, just do it. Kind of that was super enticing, and like to
have your own little baby.
And report to the board. And, they're very busy people, lots of businesses. But for them to say, okay, you head off there and set your team up and run Hairydog. And, that's just what an experience, right? Like they don't come around too often. Plus the alcohol industry, how fun.
It's like a fresh canvas with free drinks. Like, I would take that up.
I know, everyone would take it up, right? And so it was amazing. And obviously some of my experience before with setting up the Opera House retail store, doing some licensing, obviously really in that food and beverage space too, where I knew a lot of the big players, more on the bars and restaurant side though. So it's kind of a first big role into like this really heavy alcohol retail. So yeah, you can't kind of refuse these opportunities when they come up. I was like a little bit conflicted for a while because I thought, should I do my own business? Should I not?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, so exciting. And everyone, in most roles go, oh, every day is different.
Yeah.
Every day genuinely is different.
Yeah.
And because you sort of have to be all hands on deck the whole time. There are no airs and graces about anyone who works at Hairydog.
Yeah.
And I nearly have that when I'm interviewing someone. I'm like, you going to be, I don't ask the hard questions. Someone else in the interview will, and I'm just like vibing. Getting the vibe. So I inherited one person in the team who was there before me.
Perfect.
And then everybody else who's there now is, it's fresh hires of some kind, either through my network or through, whatever way that we've grown the team. We're national now, so we were always a national business, but we now have teams in. We're international. I take it back.
Wow.
Sydney, Melbourne.
Add an inter.
International. We have some amazing team members in the Philippines and in New Zealand as well.
That's incredible.
So yeah, it's an amazing team. And I think COVID has taught us, you don't have to all be in the physical room together to have a really good rapport and for people to feel really engaged in their jobs. So it's good.
That is a massive realization, I guess, not just for us, but also across many industries where it's like you don't need to fly to Sydney anymore for a 1 hour board meeting. It's kind of like turn the camera on.
I know. I actually think back to the Spotless days where I really was on flights like every single day.
Yeah. And there's a lot more to it than just the flying. It's like the coming to the airport, the delays, like, so you'd waste the whole day just for one meeting.
Absolutely.
So the efficiency that COVID has, I guess, manifested for us is like, second to none because companies are just so much more efficient, I think.
Yeah, I completely
financially
agree.
And time-wise and even individuals.
100%. Yeah, which is an amazing positive benefit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you went from, so you started at Hairydog. This is at the height of COVID?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
The business commenced, I would say softly, July 2020, and I joined in September.
Yeah. What a time to start a liquor business.
I know, perfect. Everyone's at home drinking. So it was, again, like what we've just talked about. I actually didn't meet my team for a couple of months because we couldn't in a hard Melbourne lockdown.
Yeah.
But still, able to like run the business perfectly fine from home. finally meet people around Christmas times or in, that December 2020, I think we were all kind of getting out. And it was, hectic at the start, that's for sure, in a different way to how it's hectic now. You kind of, all your growing pains are public because, you're on a live environment and an e-com, on a site and everybody's at home and they need their delivery now and they need their alcohol now. So, it's been a journey in a good way. Like, obviously every day has been a challenge. And I mean that in a positive and probably a slightly non-positive way sometimes.
I mean, every negative has a positive.
It does.
I think.
It does. And every little delivery disaster or operational issue you learn from and you're like, that is not going to happen again.
Exactly.
So I think that's it. The benefit of it being public is it's in real time and there's an urgency. You better fix it. So, so a really good group of people that we work with.
Incredible.
And our customers amazing. Shout out to the customers.
Shout out to the customers.
We get excited about every single order. Like even after 2 years, I genuinely will screenshot orders to the team and be like, we sold some. Like if it's something that we know that we've take a risk on and will people like it or will they not? Like we genuinely get excited about every order.
Yeah.
And like that's how passionate everybody in the team is about it. And I think you have to be because we're still a small player in a market that has several very well established, long running players who have insanely good economies of scale and service and network and everything else. So it's kind of the customer service is key and the product knowledge is key and really going that extra mile to make sure that people are happy and people enjoy their experience and they get what they asked for. Which is sometimes challenging given we're based in Melbourne and we obviously deliver nationally.
I can understand that. And, but I guess I think it's important to know anyway that Hairydog is not a BWS or a Dan Murphy or a Booze Bud. Hairydog is very specific in a couple of, I guess, is very different to those. Can you explain maybe how it's different?
So as you said, we're not like a big Dan's or a BWS. We're not a sort of race to the bottom price-wise company. While we obviously want to have competitive pricing, we recognize that we have products that is actually very hard to find in Australia sometimes. Could be quite niche. It could be that beautiful tequila you had on holidays, in Mexico, or that gorgeous bottle of champagne you had somewhere and it brings back a special memory. So for us, it's more about sourcing product that sort of fits in with our ethos and offering people something a little bit different. Like a lot of the big brands are in every single alcohol, bottle shop and online store. But we want to offer people something a little bit different too. So both those international things we bring in and then supporting local brewers, distillers. And I think that's really important for us too, to be able to offer people more recommendations and things that, have a special memory for them too. And obviously that customer service as well. When you go into live chat on the website, you are actually talking to a human, not a robot. So there's anything wrong with robots.
No, but that's robot lives matter. But I think there's that makes you very, very different, I think. And you spend more in customer service. You're not trying to be a conglomerate, sell as many bottles as possible.
Exactly.
Of course, there are some KPIs. Of course, there are some important, things to measure business success in. But I guess you take customer service much more seriously than a Dan Murphy or a BWS would. Why do you think that's important? Why do you think customer service? Why is it the focus? And I mean, one could be much richer, or for example, selling as many bottles of liquor or whatever, even the fastest selling product. Why is it that you guys focus on those niche products that wouldn't move as much as fast moving products? And why do you care about customer service? It's a big question.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll answer the two parts. I think with the customer service piece, for us, it's obviously having worked in many different industries where customer service is so important. But I think for us is that you got to be relentless when you're striving for amazing customer service. You got to think of that end customer. So the box leaves our warehouse and arrives to the person. So everybody from our drivers, our people who pick the orders and pack the boxes, they need to have the customer in mind. Because at the end of the day, you could have 1,000 orders a day And yeah, that's important to you, but to each individual customer, that's their only one order. And this is so special to them. Like, we've all gotten terrible orders in the post and you're like, annoying. Or you've had great orders in the post where you're like, wow, this is pretty cool. So just to finish out on the relentless customer service is obviously, your Dan's, your BWS, whoever, and they could get thousands of orders a day.
Yeah.
And that's great. So happy for them. And even when we get a lot of orders a day, that's so exciting for us. But that one customer gets their own order, and that's, to them, that's their entire day. Or, well, that's a bit sad, but that's their entire order, and they're very excited and they've actually spent their money with you.
Yeah.
So I think for us is, we want the customers to feel as excited as we are about getting their order, which sounds really weird, I know. But like, for us, it's every single order counts. Like, nothing should ever be touched in a blasé way of like, oh, it's fine, just send it as it is. Like, it's a bit damaged or it's a bit whatever. It's just not acceptable.
Yeah.
So I think that sets you apart in that, and if you build that from the ground up, you can actually scale it.
Yes.
Which must sound, interesting, because obviously the bigger you get, the more you move away from the customer and the more it can be personalized. There are ways in which it can be still personalized or feel personal to the customer. So we sometimes do some nice surprise and delight in the boxes, which is fun. Or, we'll offer customers something else that's a little bit special based on what they like. So I think in this game, where buying alcohol also can be so transactional, to be able to offer that relentless customer experience does set you apart. And people really respond to it, and often will comment, like live chat or email or something, comment on our Facebook saying how much they loved the experience, or their order was messed up and the recovery was incredible. I think that's a real piece too. If you mess someone's order up, the way you recover really tells something about you, and you can actually turn a negative into a huge positive experience. So, and a loyal customer. Yeah. So
a loyal customer is the best customer.
Oh, and, love them.
Especially, exactly. And sure, there are many metrics for businesses that measure what's the return customer rate or whatever. But it's so amazing that, like, from what I can see, your entire career was focused on customer experience, or visitor experience, or resident experience. And then it's unbelievable to see that it translated into this incredible role where you were in control of a company, if you like, and be able to, really, really adjust and perfect and optimize the customer experience at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, would be the best key, I think, to growing a brand.
I think so too, because if you can keep that at your core and never forget that, even how, with how big you get, then I think you're setting yourself apart and you're setting yourself up for success. So, it's something we're really, really
despite being harder to scale, I think that, it's way more important than moving as many bottles as possible.
We leave that to the other guys.
Yeah, exactly.
And then to answer the second part of your question about the niche products, I guess for me, it's all around that, that alcohol's, obviously we all go out, we all drink alcohol. Yeah. Sometimes it means something, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. But for so many people, you could have had that special first date. You could have been on a holiday. You could have had even to the point of around a sorrowful moment in your life or a loss. We often get orders where people are, send someone's favorite bottle of scotch to, someone whose father has just passed away or mother. And the heartfelt notes that are written with them are incredible. Yeah. And sometimes that might be something very niche from overseas, like Scottish or Irish or American, but it means something here. But on the positive side, or on the less sad side is, you might have had this amazing holiday, or you might have got engaged somewhere, or any amount of wonderful life experiences. Yeah. A lot of those tend to be centered around the celebration. You have a drink, you try something new. So for us to be able to bring a lot of those products in, or as many as we can, or to be able to offer them, is really important. Yeah. And I think it just sets you apart a little bit. So if you want that super niche product, or you need a tiny little, drop of bitters for that perfect cocktail, chances are we have it, which is pretty fun. Yeah. And we have often had people contact us and ask, for something that's, really niche. You guys only have it, this is really important. Do you definitely have it? We have it. Or you'll hear a lovely story. I was drinking this tequila on my holidays and I proposed, or whatever it is. And I really, really want it. So I think it's just, it removes, again, similar to the customer experience. It's not just transactional, but it can actually, having that drink can just evoke those emotional memories and that experience you've had. we've all been there, right? Like I'm sure you can imagine stuff from when you've been overseas.
All I can think about are those moments right now.
I know, right? Like, and even for me, like I got engaged in the Champagne region in France because yeah, I know it's really cool. Well, my husband was working, with one of the large French alcohol companies at the time, and even to the champagne that we had just when we got engaged, to drink that now is just special. Even just to have the bottle in the fridge, I'm like, we could open that at any time.
Yeah.
We're back.
A bit of a
That's amazing. It is cool.
Almost transports you into that.
Exactly. Or like, I know there's certain things that my mom really loves, and I know that like anytime I nearly see them on a shelf here, I'm like, oh, mom, like, or you'd have a little sip and be like, oh, that's, just brings you back.
So I
think that is really important. And for people get very excited about finding things here that they cannot find overseas. Or sorry, that they cannot find here that are from overseas. And, they're often not large amounts of quantity. You might only bring, 6 or 12 bottles onto the website, but they sell and they go really well with people. So yeah, it's really good. So I love that part of it. Yeah.
Well, that's really incredible. It's very amazing that you, I guess, take on a bigger risk to stock more niche items, but all for the sole purpose of being able to fulfill it for that extra special customer.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah,
it's important, and they don't always tend to be things that are $300, $400, $500. Like, of course, those things are there, but sometimes it's just like a product that is very readily available somewhere overseas and you can't get it here. It might be $50, but it's still that, oh my God, I found this product. Yeah, so exciting. Yeah. Or it might be something from, I was going to say your childhood. Hopefully not your childhood. Or all about legal drinking and RSA. But you know what I mean? Like it might be from when you turned 18 and you would never drink it now, but you buy it as a nostalgia product for your friend or, whatever it is. So
that's incredible. Yeah. It really, really, really is.
Fun part of the job.
I think I have one and a half more questions for you, right? I think we did really unpacked the idea around what it takes to build a brand, and we said that it's like relentless customer service, being able to sort of set yourself apart from the big players, and or not trying to be like the big players anyway.
Exactly.
But I guess if there was one secret sauce to the success of Hairydog, whether it might be, it doesn't have to be customer facing, a customer facing thing that you've done. It could be in the team, or it could be an optimization that you made within yourself, for example. What would that be that contributed to or was the largest contributor to the success of Hairydog?
I've kind of got two, so I know I'm not like breaking the rules. Okay. One of them is, and I know everybody says fail fast.
Yeah.
But on that theme, I would say anytime we have had a significant issue, operational, delivery, whatever, you got to fix it really quickly. Like, and our customers are our source of best feedback, which obviously everybody's customers are.
Of course, yeah.
But to be able to fix something, with our tech team or with whatever in a real live environment quickly, I think that's really important, that the customers are like, I didn't like that. I've given you the feedback, fix it. And we can actually do that. And I think being a small company, we actually can.
Yeah. And because you're nimble, because you're in control.
Exactly.
No corporate.
Moving oil tankers.
Yep, that's it.
It's like a mini little baby car.
That's amazing.
You just turn it.
It's also a baby. But...
Yeah, not so baby. It's like that big now. But I guess that's one of them. And then the other one is probably equally cheesy, but it's definitely the team. So I feel like so cheesy.
What's all the cheese?
I know, I love cheese. I think for me, what always strikes me every day, and I'd love to hear if other business owners feel like this, but I think it's our secret weapon, so probably shouldn't tell anyone. I feel like the team are as passionate about Hairydog and their role as if they owned the business. And to get that is like, I've not seen that many places before. It's so rare. Like the passion and the dedication and the working long hours, like we've all got that in various guises. But it's like they own the business. Like that's the level of, this is my business and I believe in this so strongly and I'm going to go the extra mile. And there's never a second of like, that'll do fine, or I'm lazy or whatever. It is game face all day, every day. And they just bring such energy and passion. And yeah, like they're all act like mini owners of the business.
That's incredible.
That's literally the passion level. And look, I don't know how we've magically like created that, but it's just the best group of people who all bring that. And like that's me as a person, but like it's my role to run the business and report to the board. So of course I have to be die hard. But everybody else is like that too in the business, from, you know, your junior in marketing or customer experience. It's amazing. So that would probably be my secret sauce. I just need to have to figure out, you know, how to replicate it. But yeah, that's for me is amazing. And we genuinely all like each other too. I know everyone else says that too. Like, oh, we love each other.
Yeah.
But genuinely.
No, we can tell.
Yo, you can tell.
We can tell.
Excuse me, we're so loud and
It's just there's always champagne flowing. The secret sauce is champagne.
Is champagne flowing? Absolutely. That's what I should have said.
No, but that is so insightful. Like as a business owner myself, I think that is very, very important to not force it down my team's throats, but at least inspire them that, hey, your presence here is a huge difference for us. Absolutely. But also you're making a difference in the output that we put out as an agency together. You're making difference in people's lives. You know, I believe that, but I guess how to communicate it as a leader is completely up to you.
Absolutely. And I think you have to lead by example, and you can't, you know, not that you can never have an off day, but you've got to lead by example. And you also got to understand that people are humans too, and we've all got life going on and whatever else. So I think it's that, for me, it's the flexible work culture. Everybody in our team, no matter who they are, is equal, obviously, which is, I think, exceptionally important. We've all worked places where we could do a whole other session on some very interesting, you know, corporate experiences that we've all had. So I think all those little bits have probably, you know, taught me along the way, okay, how would I like to be treated? How have I been treated before? And what can we create as a culture of the business together? So yeah, I think that's so important. But they're my secret sauce, all the team. They're amazing.
And champagne.
Yeah. And only champagne, not sparkling. The boys in the team know that I'm very fussy. It has to be French and it has to be champagne. My eyes are yet to be opened about Australian sparkling. No offense to Australian sparkling.
I mean, like, I don't know, Australians either love some cheap booze or some really, really good stuff, you know, to like,
Well, apparently my view is too narrow, but being from Europe, you can understand.
There's higher standards.
We're very close to France.
Exactly. Yeah, but thank you so much for coming on. We did go a little bit over time, but
Aussies and Irish, we love chatting.
Exactly.
Love chatting.
That's exactly right.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for your time and sharing your experiences. There's so many things we didn't talk about, but I think we covered the majority of it.
We can always do part 2.
Maybe another part 2.
Maybe over champagne.
I would love that.
Could do a special edition champagne in the desert.
Exactly, champagne. Has anyone had champagne?
Sure, yes, absolutely.
We can try to do it.
Nice.
But thank you so much for your time again. And we look forward to bumping into each other, like, you know, around here. And whenever you have a spare bottle of champagne, pass
them in your way, don't worry.
Or tart.
Yeah.
Tart was amazing.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much again.
No problem at all.
And
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Do everything that the rest of YouTube tells you to do. And thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Cheers.